General George S. Patton. Beyond the battlefield. In the midst of the tumultuous World War II, General George S. Patton's Third Army was embroiled in a fierce battle on the Eastern Front. The bitter cold and unyielding snow made the conditions nearly unbearable for both soldiers and tanks. But Patton, with his unwavering determination, led from the front, rallying his troops with his favorite quote, "Success is how high you bounce when you hit rock bottom." The war had brought out the best and worst in men, testing their limits of endurance and courage. For Patton, the battlefield was his canvas, and the tanks were his brushstrokes, painting a portrait of valor and victory. He knew that only through relentless action could he achieve success. One evening, as the sun set on the horizon, casting an orange hue across the snowy landscape, Patton gathered his officers for a tactical meeting. His famous quote echoed in the frigid air, inspiring his commanders to find hope even in the darkest of times. He urged them to embrace the challenges and not be disheartened by setbacks, for it was through adversity that true leaders emerged. One of his most trusted officers, Lieutenant Thomas, approached Patton after the meeting. "General, the men are tired, and the weather is taking a toll on their spirits," he said. Patton patted Lieutenant Thomas on the shoulder and replied, "The harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph. You see, Lieutenant, this war isn't just about seizing territory, it's about proving to ourselves and the world what Americans are made of. We can't let the weather or fatigue defeat us. Our spirit must remain unbroken." Over the weeks that followed, Patton's Third Army pushed forward, making significant gains against the enemy. But the battles took their toll, and the men longed for the warmth of their homes and the comfort of their loved ones. One evening, as Patton walked among his troops, he noticed Private Anderson, a young soldier, gazing pensively at a photograph of his family. "Sir, I miss them so much," Anderson confessed. Patton placed a hand on Anderson's shoulder and said, "All glory is fleeting, my boy. But what we achieve here will have a lasting impact on the world. Your sacrifices and those of your comrades will ensure a better future for generations to come." The young private nodded, his resolve bolstered by the general's words. As the war raged on, Patton's leadership and inspiring quotes lifted the spirits of his troops, driving them to endure the harshest of conditions. Eventually, the tides of war turned, and the Allies secured victory in Europe. The sacrifices made by the men of the Third Army and their indomitable leader, George S. Patton, had helped to bring an end to the horrors of the war. After the war, as Patton reflected on the tumultuous years, he found solace in another one of his favorite quotes. "Better to fight for something than live for nothing." He knew that the sacrifices made by him and his men had contributed to a more just and free world. General George S. Patton's legacy extended far beyond the battlefield. His words and actions inspired countless soldiers and leaders, leaving an indelible mark on history. As the years passed, his favorite quotes continued to echo, reminding future generations of the power of resilience, determination, and the pursuit of meaningful endeavors.